How do the 5 Fizzy Faz nights work behind the scenes and off camera in Help Wanted 2? Let's go through each one as we break them all down, starting with night 1. Here you'll be tasked with the preparation of Fazbear Entertainment's sugary beverages. Using the provided cup, Fizzy Faz sodas have to be made using the correct ingredients from the dispensers on your left. Each recipe has a time limit to complete, and failing this means trashing your current concoction and starting over on the next. On night 2, the minigame becomes a bit harder, now requiring more ingredients per drink and the introduction of the security cameras. Apparently staff bots are entitled to breaks too, so you'll have to check their workstations frequently and give them temporary downtime when they become their Nightmarian versions. If you wait too long, they'll arrive at your office, forcing you to shut the whole operation down before they dare ask for a raise. Restarting this minigame, we'll turn the lights on and begin our exploration of this huge factory area. Our office is pretty small in comparison to the rest of the level, and outside this room, we'll find catwalks that lead through various tanks and workstations. When we look at our cameras, this is supposedly the area we're viewing, but there aren't any staff bots hanging out around here. I'll explain why in just a second, but first, there's a room in the back of this warehouse that I found pretty interesting. We can never get remotely close to this part of the level, but despite this, there's still a large office room here that's completely empty inside. You can actually access this area in Security Breach, and this room is typically full of office furniture and supplies. It's empty now because there is no way for us to access it, and furnishing it would have been practically pointless. So as I said a moment ago, the area outside of our office is just for show, and nothing really takes place inside of it. Behind the scenes, there are 6 rooms lined up in 2 rows, and each of them contains a set of tanks and a working staff bot. The minigame hasn't started yet, so each bot is currently in sleep mode, waiting for their shift to begin so they can get cracking on those tasty sodas. There is an outlier here though, that being this room is full of trash. We won't be interacting with this room on the first couple of nights, so we'll come back to it a little later on. Occasionally during our work hours, a hard-headed staff bot will glide past our office holding a tablet and glancing our way. If we take a look beneath the gameplay area, we can find both of these objects placed out of bounds, and they remain here until the bot crosses through our line of sight. There's something a bit odd here as well. Even further below these assets, we can find a small flat square clipping through the lowest point of the map's floor. It's angled slightly and covered in a default texture. While playing through the minigame, it didn't seem to move at any point either, so I'm assuming it's a scrapped asset that was simply forgotten about. Back inside the level, the staff bot will instantly appear to the left of our player's window and cross through the pathway. When this occurs, the hat and tablet are moved into their possession, but when leaving the player's sight, these objects return to their place out of bounds. I said this happens out of sight, but that's actually not the case. You can see this bot disappearing after passing the door on our right, and you don't even need the free range of motion VR provides to see this. Back inside the office, it's time to start mixing some sodas. To do this, we'll need to employ the use of this fancy cup on our workstation, and after filling it with each ingredient, it'll be sent using this pneumatic tube. This machine works a lot faster than you'd think too, and taking a look inside, you'll see that the ingredients just vanish. The cup never even moves an inch, and the door just opens back up after a moment. None of this would have mattered anyway, since the tube just pokes through the ceiling and stops, and it's solid on the end, so our ingredients couldn't go anywhere regardless. Unless this is some kind of Bluetooth soda dispenser, I'm starting to doubt the work efficiency of this warehouse. Now in night 2, there are a couple of things that can take place that didn't before. For starters, if the bots go long enough without being given a mandatory break, they'll just sort of stare up at the camera after turning into their Nightmarian form. Moving the camera into the small warehouse maps out of bounds, we can see this for ourselves, as they just stand completely still and glare at the camera. Of course, there isn't a physical camera in the map, so they're really just staring at the corner of the ceiling. When we put them to sleep, they'll instantly shift back to their regular form and stare at the floor. If you wait too long, a staff bot will appear on the catwalk in front of your office and stare into the room at you. They're clearly not happy about their work schedule, and so they'll slam their hands on the window before just storming into your office to confront you. When this happens, a jump scare is triggered, which you can see here in super slow motion. While this is taking place, we can look inside the map to find that the bot just kept strolling past us. They eventually reached the printers behind us before finally unloading, but it's still funny to see that they never stop moving. Even funnier, this whole sequence restarts while the player's waiting in the static screen after dying. The bot tries to access the office a second time, as if jump scaring you once wasn't enough. So the majority of Fizzy Faz's levels are actually the hard mode variants. There are only 2 regular levels and 3 hard mode ones. On night 3, the game becomes slightly harder, with more ingredients being needed and a button becoming available to speed up your staff bots. Be careful though, because this leads to more frequent breaks for these lazy bums. On nights 4 and 5 though, Chica becomes active and will begin looking for something to snack on. So you have to lure her back to the garbage area by purposely trashing orders in order to keep things running smoothly. So if we move the camera away from the office and into the disposal area of night 4 and 5, we can now find Chica hanging out on this pile of garbage pizza. As soon as we dump any number of ingredients, Chica will instantly wake up and begin moving. It's very strange seeing her directly though, because she practically snaps between her poses with very little animation in between. If we're not careful though, she'll leave the room and interrupt our poor staff bots who are just trying to make a living. When this occurs, she'll warp into one of these warehouse sections and replace the bot working inside. But they don't disappear completely. The bot Chica replaces is actually moved outside of her office, floating to our left where we can't see them. They'll remain here until Chica either moves on to another location, or we send her back to the trash room by dumping ingredients. When this happens, you can see here that the bot instantly appears in the usual spot again, and Chica moves back to the trash room. On night 5, the bot who strolls by our front window is replaced by the Nightmarian version instead. Typically, this bot gives you an order to make, and missing the timer will count as one of your strikes before failing the minigame. The Nightmarian version skips this though, and it goes straight for the jump scare if we fail to make the executive order on time. If we do not keep Chica in check, she'll eventually end up at our office, where she appears inside the catwalk and flings herself onto our window. After staring at you for an uncomfortably long time, she'll make her way into the room, similar to the staff bots. Just like the bots, she'll also pass by the player completely, but she still triggers a jump scare regardless.